The Siege of Damietta, 1218 to 1219, during the Fifth Crusade was one of the most dramatic and strategically critical confrontations between the Crusaders and Muslim forces in Egypt. Picture the scene. The humid, salty air of the Nile Delta mixing with the sound of clashing steel, roaring siege engines, and the cries of both attackers and defenders. The waters of the Nile shimmer under the burning sun, and towering above all is the fortress of Damietta, its walls bristling with Egyptian soldiers, determined to repel the invading Christian forces. Let's step back into history and relive the chaos, fear, and triumphs of this epic siege. In 1218, a large coalition of European forces embarked on the Fifth Crusade, their goal not just to reclaim the Holy Land, but to strike at the heart of the Muslim world, Egypt, the stronghold of Islamic power in the region. Led by John of Brienne, king of Jerusalem, and the papal legate Pelagius, the Crusaders believed that by seizing Egypt, they could force the Muslim powers to negotiate and ultimately reclaim Jerusalem for Christendom. Their target, the strategic city of Damietta, which lay on the banks of the Nile River, acting as the gateway to the heart of Egypt. If Damietta fell, the Crusaders could march southward to Cairo itself. As the Crusader fleet approached the Egyptian coast, the soldiers caught their first glimpse of the formidable city. Damietta was a fortress surrounded by thick, high walls and defensive towers. The mighty Nile River flowed nearby, a natural defense in itself, making any assault a logistical nightmare. Behind those walls were the forces of the Ayyubid Sultanate, led by Sultan al-Kamil, nephew of the famous Saladin. From the Crusader ships, the city seemed impenetrable, but the determination of the European forces was fierce. After all, they believed they had God on their side. As soon as they landed on the Egyptian shores, they wasted no time and began to erect their massive siege engines, towers, trebuchets, and catapults, designed to rain destruction upon Damietta's defenders. The tension was palpable. The Crusaders knew that this would not be a quick battle. It would be a war of attrition, a test of endurance, strength, and will. The first challenge the Crusaders faced wasn't just the city walls, but an enormous chain that stretched across the Nile, defended by a massive tower standing on an island in the middle of the river. This tower acted as a linchpin for the city's defenses, cutting off the Crusaders from attacking directly from the river. Picture it, a mighty fortress rising from the island, surrounded by water. Egyptian archers and soldiers manned the tower, firing arrows and hurling stones at any Crusader who dared approach by boat. The only way to break the blockade was to capture the tower itself. After weeks of failed attempts, the Crusaders devised a bold and daring plan.